let's look. I'm going to blow through this really quick, if you don't mind. The economy, spending crisis, end of the year. This is what I really want to talk about. At the end of the year, we've got some things approaching us. You're all informed and probably know all this. A lot of America doesn't know it's going to hit them at the end of the year. Congress doesn't act. We don't have a president who leads. Red tape, and the future of Obamacare. We've got so many questions about what now, the Supreme Court's rules. So what now? I want to talk about this economy real quickly. I just want to make one point here, which is last night, reading the reports about how great the president's done leading this country in jobs. Let me tell you, there have been 10 recessions since World War II, and 10 recoveries since World War II. Guess where this president ranks? Dead last. On jobs, on the economy, dead last. In fact, it's so bad. Here are the 10 recoveries for jobs. Look at the president in red. Dead last, half of what the average recovery is. Here's economic growth, same thing. Dead last, half of what the average has been. In other words, if this president was just an average president, nothing to talk about, just did sort of what you normally would do coming out of a recession, 4 million more Americans would be going to work this morning instead of looking for work this morning. And if he followed Ronald Reagan's model of getting Washington out of the way of our economy, 7 million more Americans would be earning a paycheck today for their families and for themselves. The unemployment rate on the day that he convinced Congress, and not a single Republican voted for the stimulus, the unemployment rate that day was 8.3%. Guess what it is today? 8.3%. And think about it, our Joint Economic Committee that I run for the House and the Senate, I predict that on Election Day, there'll be fewer Americans working than when President Obama took office. Think about it. After the bank bailout, the auto bailout, the housing bailout, the stimulus, cash for clunkers, cash for coffers. For a while, they even paid us to buy new appliances. They spent $5 trillion more than we had as a nation, and we've actually gone backwards on jobs. So the president, whose slogan is forward, when it comes to the number one issue in the economy, he's taking us exactly the wrong way. I don't know how you spin dead last, because it is dead last. This, by the way, this is the difference, this chart, between President Obama's government can make it great approach and Ronald Reagan's Main Street and free enterprise can make it great approach on the economy. Look at the difference at this exact same point in the presidency. It isn't even close. The spending crisis, I showed you this chart last time. It's updated. You just can't tell it. This is our future as a country. This is our future as a country if we don't change our way. And I made this point to you, but I always like to drive it home. What this chart and that red ink shows us that a baby born today at Conroe Regional, their share of all that red ink is already $47,000. So a baby born today owes Uncle Sam a new Lexus. If you don't change your way, by the time they're 13, they'll owe the same. By the time they're 22 and they're finishing at A&M or University of Houston or Sam Houston, getting ready to start their life, they'll owe a third Lexus to Uncle Sam. Good news is they don't buy. Luxury stands for the federal government, but young people pay the price in a very different way. Just like a business that owes so much, just like a family whose all their money goes to pay their credit cards anymore, a country who's so heavy with debt doesn't invest in new things, their economy slows down. So a young person, when it gets time for them to start their life, there'll be fewer jobs for them to seek. But with higher taxes and higher interest rates, when they do get that job, there'll be less money in their pocket. So for our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, there's a real price to be paid for this spending. The green portion of that is the revenue, and you can tell over time, the revenue in America that we send back to Washington stays the same. It's clear you can't tax your way back to a balanced budget. You can take every dime every wealthy person has ever earned. You wouldn't come close to balancing the budget. And this week, when you hear speaker after speaker say, to get this deficit in control, we just need to raise taxes on the wealthy so they can pay their fair share. Remind your neighbors, this president has already signed into law more than $1 trillion of new taxes Guess how much went to reduce the debt?
Zero.
Zero. Not a dime. Everyone knows in this room, I think everyone knows in America, when you raise taxes, all they do is spend. And they will do it again. Let's go with this. This is the present. This is updated. This is our future again with these deficits. And this week, you know, America passed a $16 trillion mark. That's not just a number. A few years ago, that was unimaginable. That we would owe more as a nation than our entire economy would be. We've gone past the flashing yellow lights into the flashing red lights. The rest of the world's giving us a break because we're America, and they expect that we will pay our bills, but that's not going to last. We're on borrowed time with spending. Unless we get our house in order, as Republicans have passed repeatedly through the House, we're not far from Greece. We're not far from Spain or Italy or Portugal. In fact, the last 2 years, our deficits were twice as big as Europe's deficits. So we look over there and we say, how come they didn't see this coming? I mean, why didn't they take action to stop this from occurring? Well, we're doing it right now. Republicans in the House are the only ones that have a different plan and have passed it. Our path to prosperity changes the course of America. And what I love, our goal is not just to get to a balanced budget, it's to pay off the national debt. Pay it off. No one's talking that in Washington except Republicans. Looking at this tax cliff, you guys know this, but at the end of the year we've got major tax relief that is either already expired or all expires December 31st. Some of it, like the research and development tax credit, important to energy and healthcare in Texas, state and local sales tax deduction, which I'm in charge of, has expired. That saves us in Texas over $1 billion a year. But all the Republican tax relief, all rates, alternative minimum tax expands, just explodes across America. The death tax springs back to life. Capital gains and dividends, which is the most, after Social Security, the most critical source of revenue for seniors, are as dividend income. And this president's proposing to double, and in some cases triple, the taxes on dividends. So the seniors who most need every dime will see fewer dividends, they'll keep less of what they get. It's just wrong. Child tax credit shrinks, the marriage penalty explodes, comes back to life, the college tax credit shrinks, all that, it's on December 31st. And here's what it means. For, in our district, in our 11 counties, that means every one of you will pay an extra $3,600 on the Senate next year. Now, I know that's not a lot of money in Washington. That's real money in Montgomery County, Texas, I can tell you that. And look who it hits us. It's not the average families. Baby boomers, $3,000 extra in taxes. Young workers, $1,000. Retirees, almost $2,000 tax increase. This makes no sense. And when the president says Republicans want to raise taxes on the middle class to tax cuts for the wealthy, they're dead wrong. We're the only party fighting for no tax increase. Zero tax increases. In fact, we're going to stop the tax hike on December 31st. We were focused on that. And then we're going to reform, we're going to go farther. We're going to reform this horrible tax code, make it fair again and simpler again, and get our businesses competing around the world again. We're the only ones willing to step forward to do that. Let me make this point here. The president likes to go around and talk about his tax hikes on the wealthy. A month ago, National Federation of Independent Business asked me to help unveil a new study by Ernst & Young, a very well-respected national accounting firm. They took the president's tax hikes and they applied it to the economy. And they just asked the question, what would it do for jobs in America? And here's the result. I know you guys can't see it in the back, but if we allow the president's tax hike to go forward, 700,000 more Americans will go to the unemployment line. Texas, 57,000 more people will lose their jobs. And we know, here's what's interesting. We know the economy will shrink. We know people invest less in America, but the average paycheck will shrink by almost 2%. Now, if I came to you today Irene and said, I got a plan for America. Now, it's going to cost us 700,000 jobs. The economy's going to shrink. People will invest less. By the way, it's going to shrink your paycheck. How long would you let me stay in this room? Yeah, probably until I finish that last sentence. But this is the plan the President proposed for America. It's exactly the wrong plan, both for fairness and to get our economy going. So our focus is on stopping the tax act. I want to make a couple points. There's almost $500 billion of new cuts to defense that start kicking January 1st as part of the automatic spending cuts. We will, if that's allowed to happen, it will hollow out our military, send 100,000 of our soldiers, sailors, Marine, and airmen who volunteered as a crew, the 1% who protect the 99% of us, will separate them from their crews. And in Texas, because we're a state that not only has major bases, we lead the country in volunteers for our military, and our communities build the equipment and the technology and the weaponry for those troops. We will bear the brunt of those cuts. Between 125,000 jobs, 160,000 jobs will be lost if those spending cuts take place. So Republicans have already passed legislation that stops those cuts and replaces it with even bigger cuts on things we think waste money. For example, and we highlighted this with Ways and Means Committee a couple months ago, IRS sends out $7.5 billion would be of your tax dollars through the child tax credit in government checks to parents who don't live here, who aren't here legally, for children who don't exist or don't live in this country. Given a choice between protecting our military and stopping loopholes like that, that's an easy choice. And one thing I always like to point out, Vice President Cheney met with a group of us before we left for August in a room about this size. And he said after they won the first Gulf War so decisively with ground forces and weaponry and new technology, he said as Defense Secretary, his first call was to his counterparts in the Reagan White House to thank them, because it was the decisions they made under President Reagan to have a strong military, to have the right technology for future wars that allowed them to win. And his point is, 10 years from now, America will face a threat. There's no question about it. We don't know what it is, but they'll be fighting that threat based on decisions, Leona, we made right now. And we've got to make the right ones for national security in America. Republicans are doing it. Here's the red tape. Here's the red tape that faces the small businesses. I was asked by our House leadership to create a chart that showed just how much red tape our typical business in Montgomery County in America faces. From permitting to personnel to privacy to unemployment to the EPA, on and on and on. It just strangles our small businesses. And what's interesting is today, the price to this chart, half of all businesses in America say they're not hiring and they're not going to be hiring new workers because of the red tape that they're facing. The cost, this White House is on record to add more red tape than any White House in American history. And the cost of this is, for a small business, all that red tape you're seeing there costs $10,000 per worker every year. It's not going to raises, not going to new salespeople, not going to new computers or a new warehouse, just going to red tape. So Republicans said, enough of this. We passed legislation, Joe, that calls a timeout on new red tape until we can get this economy going again. It stops the practice of midnight regulations, where a White House, when it's defeated and going out the door, it throws a bunch of new regulation in the pipeline on the way out the door. We stopped sue and settle, which is a practice where in Brandon, Craig knows from all his work on environmental issues in Texas, that these environmental groups sue the federal government. When they win their case, they don't ask for money. They ask for new regulation on oil and gas, on refineries, on our businesses here in Texas. So we stopped that. Of course, along with all of our cuts, our repeal of Obamacare, 30 jobs bill, all of that legislation sitting in the Senate, never once getting a vote. I'm going to finish with this. This is Obamacare. This is your new health care law, as amended by the Supreme Court. And all the court really did. Does this have a? They turned the mandate into a tax, and they allowed states like Texas to opt out of Medicaid. But what they left in place between the physicians there in that corner and doctors, they left in place 159 new federal agencies, commissions, and bureaucrats in between you and your doctor. They left in place $1 trillion of new tax hikes, half of which to the middle class. Left in place $500 billion of cuts to our local hospitals, to our home health care agencies, hospice, skilled nursing homes. And in fact, this is one thing you won't hear at the Democratic National Convention, that the cuts to seniors in their Medicare Advantage program, their Medicare plan of choice, we estimate between 1/3 and 1/2 of all Texas seniors will either be forced out of their Medicare plan or pay more just to keep what they have. You won't hear that. But what's interesting is all those cuts to Texas seniors, about 95% of them occur after election.
Yes.
So they're getting all the sugar and all the sweetness today, but all the pain from this law will hit them after election day. And they left in place 2 of the key rationing boards that ultimately will ration care for our seniors. And they won't do it by denying you, Judy, treatment. They just won't reimburse your doctor or hospital for giving you that treatment. But the end result is the same as if you pay the price for it. So what was interesting, the Supreme Court decision was so disappointing. You know, here I was worried about Justice Kennedy, and he got it right. But what the majority said was, and they actually wrote in there, we can't save the American public from their political decisions. In other words, if we want to repeal that monstrosity, it's back to us as voters. That's what happened in November. And so the key questions for you and me in November is, one, is the problem the government spends too much, or is the problem it just takes too little of your income? Because that's at the heart of every fight we have up in Washington. How large a government do you want, or are you willing to pay for it? At the end of the day, it comes down to you and me. We pay for this thing. And then finally, do you want President Obama's health care law to stand as law of the land? Those are the 3 questions that will be decided after ballot box. That's why it's so critical in Montgomery County, in Texas, across the country, that we answer those the right way and put a president in place who will lead the right way as well. Irene, I'll be glad to take some easy questions from this group if you'd like me to.
Okay, let's see. So you first.
Congressman Brady, what will be the process for repealing Obamacare?
The process for repealing Obamacare will take 2 steps. The first is to actually repeal the law. 3 steps. The first will be, because so much of this has been put in place by regulation in the executive branch, on day 1, President Romney is going to repeal much of the regulation that goes with Obamacare. The second will be for us in Congress to repeal the law itself and to begin to replace it with free market reforms that actually lower health care, doesn't drive it up as this bill does. And then thirdly, in our appropriations, our spending process, because so much of these roots are already out there, even though it doesn't actually kick in until 2014, the roots are taking hold. So we'll have to pull those roots back in with funding by reversing the funding on those programs. So it's going to take 3 steps. The first one starts on November 6th with electing a new president. And I have to tell you, this won't happen overnight. You know, there's a reason they put these laws in place and ram so much of it through. And the reason you fight to stop in the first place is because they're hard to turn back around, especially something that's huge. So it's going to be a full-scale attack.
Is it possible to have this succeed without the Senate?
Is it possible for this to succeed without the Senate? No, it's not. And even with the Senate being 50-50 or 49 or 52, 48, whatever John Cornyn's working so hard to do. He's been amazing, by the way, around this country, marshaling a Republican majority in the Senate. It is still going to be a fight, but I'll just tell you, it'll be a whole different playing field with Republicans in the Senate and Mitt Romney in the White House. It's more than doable. It can be done in a big way.
Thank you.
Stacy?
Republicans are, the party is not necessarily known for having a big heart for support. Will the legislature do some kind of a program for the poor for healthcare?
Well, the question was, will their plan do something for those who are poor? And the answer is yes. The bill that we never got to offer, as you remember, even though Congress should be a contest of ideas, even though the current speaker allows Democrats to vote on every issue, give us your idea as well. As you know, we were denied even a vote on our idea. We offered the only plan that actually Republicans did, to lower the health care costs, premiums by 10%, while covering those with pre-existing illnesses and allowing young people to stay on their parents' programs till 26, because states like Texas already allowed it to age 24, as a matter of fact. We always thought that was a good idea, so the answer is absolutely yes. What we won't do is put a new government bureaucracy in between you and your doctor, which affects everyone at every income level. We're not going to allow the government to ration health care to you, either because of your income or your age, or that treatment's just too expensive. So we're not going to allow the ration, and we don't raise Medicare to pay for a whole new health care system. We put that money back in the program, so you can actually save Medicare once and for all. And I can tell you, Stacey, and I'm here, we're going to hear it all week long. Social Security's fine, Medicare's fine, don't worry about it. It's Republicans who are damaging it. Medicare is not fine. It will go bankrupt in 12 years. Social Security is not fine. Last year we had to borrow $142 billion from China and other countries just to pay Social Security benefits. This year, America will borrow $167 billion from China and other foreign investors just to pay Social Security. Anyone who says it's all just fine is wrong. In fact, the way you end Medicare as we know it is to do nothing. That ends Medicare. Republicans have solutions on both those programs. And those solutions start not for those who are on Medicare today, and not even for those who enter Medicare in the next decade. Everything stays the same. But for younger workers, they're going to get a choice between keeping Medicare as it is, they can keep it the same plan that you've got, do that. Or they're going to be given an option, a broad range of plans, one of which may be the plan you're already at work, to allow them to carry that into retirement. We'll make sure that we pay the premiums and the costs for the poor, for the middle class, but as you get wealthier, you'll get less help to do it. I mean, that's just what needs to be done. But at the end of the day, we're going to preserve Social Security, Medicare for every generation, once and for all. And that's the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans right now. That was a long answer to a short question, but I have to tell you, really, my blood boils when I hear about the attacks on Medicare, because we're the only ones. Ways and Means, by the way, not only do we lead fundamental tax reform, we will lead the reform on Social Security, we'll lead the reform on repealing Obamacare, we'll lead the reform on preserving Medicare once and for all, and we'll lead the reforms on getting energy back to work in America. That's why I love being on this committee, because you can make a huge difference. Thank you, Karen.
Well, hearing all of these things about what the Republicans are going to do, and all of the Democrats coming up and saying they're taking everything out of Medicare, why don't we hear more of what you're saying in the public? I mean, so that the public knows what we're going to do.
You know, it isn't easy. I see our leaders in the House, especially in the Senate, but they hold press conferences every day to call the president's hand on every one of those statements. And Biden's hand on every one of those statements and the Democrats' hand on every one of them. It doesn't care. It gets very little attention. In fact, that Social Security hearing a month ago, that Sam Johnson from Texas, myself, I'm number 2 on Social Security, where they sat there, the trustees, the accountants for the program said, Social Security is in the worst condition since its existence. It's deteriorated more in 1 year than the past 20 years. Did you read that anywhere?
No.
Hear about it anywhere? He didn't get an ounce of nothing online. So to answer your question is, they're getting the message there. They're not going to cover it. We have to do an end around the Washington mainstream media and do it from the grassroots. That's why I'm here. That's why the letters to the editor matter. That's why your influence with your friends and family, when you talked about the emails and the phone calls and reaching out, you know, you're critical to winning this whole message. We will not get it through that media. We'll get it from people who respect you and like you and care for you and listen to you.
Well, I think if we had some of the information that's on your presentation here available to us, we can, I mean, because we can't, I can't speak for everybody else, but I can't remember all of those facts off the top of my head.
That's crazy, Karen. You want me to go through it again?
Yes.
And by the way, we have all this on our website.
Is it on your
Absolutely.
website?
Just
Yes.
Congressman Kevin Grady, just Google it, comes right up there. And if you need any one-pagers on any one of them, just call Sarah or Tracy or Todd in Conroe, and we'll get it for you.
Well, and commend you on your Facebook information, because I'm sure it's your staff that's doing that for you a lot. Tracy.
And my lips didn't even move.
But it's wonderful. I mean,
Yeah, Tracy
almost
does it
every
right
day I get something from y'all, and I post it or forward it or whatever I need to do. So
Yeah, the facts are on our side and all these issues. And I tell you what, you don't protect seniors by burying your head in sand and not tackling these issues.
Sharon, stand up. I have a suggestion that maybe you could take back to.
Okay.
We were traveling this a couple of months ago, and in Bulgaria, our guide was telling us that the mayor of their city won his election with this slogan. He said, "I'm already rich, I don't need your money." I think that would be great. Way in the back.
You're not doing our press at all, okay?
Way in the
It's
back.
true, though.
I don't know your name, way in the
Yes,
back.
ma'am.
Stand up.
I have two questions, really. One of them was a question I didn't get to ask at your town hall I went to a while back. The comment about Medicaid and so forth. And I have a son-in-law who moved to Texas because Medicaid was eating his lunch in Louisiana. They told me that he's required to use Medicaid because of his contract with the hospital.
Okay.
But he said that it cost him money up front. He didn't make a dime on Medicaid. He had to pay for the privilege. And the doctors are backing away from Medicaid because exactly because of that. They have to charge somebody else to cover that, so they don't go broke. And you're talking about
Yeah.
emergency.
No, I
I just
understand.
forgot the amount you have to pay to cover lawsuits. Anyway, that, my question is there a possibility that through fiat somewhere, not through what you control by law, that doctors will be now required to take Medicaid and drive them completely out of business?
Yeah. Well, I hope we never force physicians to take Medicaid that only pays, about 2/3 of what the actual cost of care is. One of the reasons that's Obamacare in the future. And we're always seeing doctors who love their patients, but who can't afford to see, only about 60% of doctors can afford to see Medicare today, and many more can't take any more patients. Fewer that can afford to take Medicaid anymore. And I think the state of Texas did the right thing before they jumped into the big expansion of Medicaid. It's already a huge problem for the state. When I was in state legislature, it was 2% of the budget. Today it's a quarter, and it's squeezing out services around the state. So when President Obama says, hey, take that massive problem you've got and just make it bigger because it will solve it, I think Texas legislators were right to say, hold it. We don't buy that argument. In fact, they took the opposite approach, which is they've asked for a waiver, an exemption from all the federal laws, so we in Texas can design a Medicaid system right for Texans, in our doctors, in our poor, so that we can get more with less. I think that's exactly the right approach, which is let us first solve the unsustainable problem in front of us before we even think about expanding it. I also think they were wise, JD, in saying, you know, Obamacare promises all this money for states if they'll expand their Medicaid, but it's a teaser rate. You know, it's that credit card rate you get, you know, 0 interest, you know, until you're all the way in. This Obamacare has already doubled in price in 2 years. It's going to run out of money. There's no doubt about it. There's no question about it. And those teaser rates in states aren't going to last. And so I thought Texas was, I think it shocked people a bit to have the governor say, well, we're not opting. But I think given the problem, given the situation, I think they took the right approach.
Is it true that the media is pro-Obama because he has tried to promise the media, the newspapers, and the TV stations that are going under, that they will become bailed out? And is that really the reason why they're all so pro-Obama and so involved?
Yeah, the question is, are the media so pro-Obama because he's basically promised to bail out the newspapers that many of them are fake? Or are they just pro-Obama? And I think the answer is the second one, is that they're just so liberal. They just they believe in the hope and the change. And more importantly, I think they believe in President Obama's overarching philosophy, which is government made America great, and government can make America great again. Because that's at the core of every action and belief he has. And he's wrong in that. But the media absolutely believe that. They don't trust Main Street to create jobs. They don't trust you to make right decisions with your money. They honestly believe they can use it better than you can. And so I think it really is the same. Yes, ma'am.
I've heard so many rumors about what's in the health care. I've heard people saying, and I know I fact checked that one, but that said it's about 4% that you'll have to pay if you sell your house as a
Yeah, 3.8%.
Okay, and is that on the total sale or just on the income? That's one question I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Another one that I heard was that doctors are going to be forced to only earn a certain amount of money. And my third one, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was going to ask you on that one.
The first one, I believe, is on the investment income above the investment itself. We'll double check with you. In fact, you give me your email or phone, we'll double check on that one. That's 3.8%, brand new tax. Going to hit a lot of people in America. On the second one, I don't know of any limits. This feels bad. I don't think it includes, I don't believe any limits on physician. I do think it will discourage a lot of future physicians from entering that practice.
If they are early.
How is the amnesty program that Obama's just threw out there, how is that going to impact the economy and the budget?
The question is, how is the amnesty program that President Obama just instituted, how's that going to affect the economy and the budget? One, you know, I think it will continue to drive up law enforcement costs, education costs, and health care costs for those who are here not legally. And I think for some workers, because you're adding those up to 30 years of age, you know, who entered America by the time before they were 16, I think for some workers, it's going to make it, who are here legally citizens today, it's going to make it tougher than to find you. And A, it doesn't solve the problem. B, it encourages more parents to bring their young children, smuggle them across the border in the back door, exactly the wrong signals. Am I right?
Absolutely.
one more. Wait a minute, Stacy. Is anybody else before you have a second chance?
Well, I just want.
Hey, wait. Anybody else?
I'm not a Democrat.
Yes, there's one in the back.
Never have been. But what I want to say,
Try, Jay.
when JFK ran, he said that it's not what you can do, it's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Yeah.
And the Democrat whole platform has just departed from that whole idea.
Yep. Said it beautifully. You're right.
JD, in the back.
I don't think there's anything you can do about this, but I'm just astounded at the amount of executive orders that get snuck through by our president to, for instance, the EPA. He wants something passed, he does an executive order. Now, if we give the Senate and the House of Representatives on November 6th, he has until January 1st. Is there any way we can stop him from just ruining everything?
You know, it's going to be difficult. That's a great question. It's going to be, that's that midnight executive orders, midnight regulations. It will be tough. It'll be tough to stop it between now and the end of the year. On the other hand, with the new president, guess who can reverse those orders on day one? Yeah. I want to stop at 2 points. One, there is not a problem I've outlined here for spending Social Security, Medicare, and health care we can't solve. And I'm telling you, having dug into every one of these issues, there's not one of those we can't solve. We just need to quit looking to Washington for all the answers. The second point is, I don't know how many of you watch the Olympics? Yeah, I couldn't quit watching. And looking at those little girls in the women's gymnastics team, our American team, makes you so proud. But I was thinking that as I was watching them, they're the American dream. I mean, think about it. You're 14 years old. You talk your mom into letting you move halfway across the country to train. She takes a second job to pay for the expenses there. You spend 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day honing your skills, ready to compete. You go to London with absolutely no guarantee of success. All you're asking for is the opportunity to succeed. If you fail, you fail. And you fail spectacularly. And if you succeed spectacularly with all the rewards that go with that. That's the American dream right there. None of us, as Republicans especially, we believe you have no guarantee of success, just a guarantee of the opportunity to succeed. And if we put those basic principles back in play before November and after January when we have a new president in the White House, I guarantee we're going to turn this country around. God bless you. Thanks for